Hi everyone. Today Courtney and I are going to be talking about hand washing and hand hygiene. We wanted to chat with you guys about this because according to the CDC, hand washing is one of the best ways that you can protect you and your family from getting sick. So hopefully with these videos we can consolidate some of the information that you might already know or might have learned and give you a place that you can refer back to it. So I hope you find these videos helpful.
Hi guys, it's good to talk to everybody again. As Josiah said, we're going to go over some hand hygiene today. We know that this information is kind of everywhere right now, but we wanted to make sure that you guys were getting the most accurate information because it is something that's important. And I know the first time I went through something like this, I definitely was not washing my hands the way I should. So we think it's some helpful information to pass along to you guys. So real quick, I just wanted to touch on when we should be washing our hands, and right now, probably more often than we do normally. But a few things we definitely need to be doing are washing before, during, and after preparing food, before eating food, before and after caring for someone who might be sick, before and after treating a cut or a wound, after using the bathroom, after cleaning up after a child or changing diapers, after blowing your nose, coughing or sneezing for sure, and after touching an animal or animal food or picking up any animal waste, and also after handling any treats as well, and definitely after touching garbage. And like I said, right now, probably more often than not, anytime you're touching something that has probably a lot of contact from other people, like a door handle or countertops or elevator buttons, things like that. Definitely make sure you're washing your hands.
Okay guys, so we're gonna say that this plate might represent your hands after coming home from being outside, or let's say this is like the door handle or something to a building that you're trying to get into. We're gonna add a few more germs to it here because it's really dirty out there, right? So what normally happens is you would put your hand on something like that, or after you've been outside, your hand is covered in germs, right? But one of the cool things about soap and why washing your hands is effective is when I get soap in there, boom, hand comes out pretty darn clean. I thought that was a cool representation of what washing your hands does for you. So I hope you guys liked it. Alright guys, so the first thing that I'm going to do is show you all the different forms that you can make when you're washing your hands so that we get all of the surface area of our hands clean and have soap contact with all of those spots. I'm going to shut the water off partway through so that you can hear me a little bit better, and also so that I'm not wasting water, because I'm going to do this at a slower rate than you typically would when you wash your hands, so that you guys have a chance to really follow along and see what I'm doing here. But our first step is going to be to get some water going and get some soap in our hands. And I don't know how well you can see that, not great, but I'm going to turn the water off here. Our first step is just soaping up the palm of our hands. Everybody might have a little bit different way that they do it when they start. But then our next step is going to be to open up our fingers and interlock them to get the insides of our fingers full of soap. And then the next step we're going to do is actually to flip one of our hands over and then fit our fingers in again. We're going to kind of do a circle to get the palm of the bottom hand, but also another chance to get the inside of our fingers there. So again, kind of switching back and forth from doing a circle to back and forth. But we still need to get under our fingernails and on the tips of our fingers, so we're actually gonna kind of take our fingers and interlock them. They're not open, they're still closed, but kind of in a hand holding motion, and then kind of back and forth so that we can get the underside of our fingertips, a little bit of our fingernails. You can just switch bottom hand and top hand a couple times to make sure that you really get that. And then one thing that we haven't hit yet is our thumbs. I don't know how well you can see that, but my thumbs don't have any soap on them. So we want to really take some time to get soap all surfaces of our thumb to make sure our thumbs are clean. And then finally, we want to try to get under the fingernails again. So you can just take the palm of your hand, rub your fingertips of one hand to try to get under your fingernails. Please don't go real hard at it, because obviously we don't want to scratch your hands at all, but we do want to try to get under your fingernails there. So those are all the steps to washing your hands. Couple of different ways that you can do for time. Saying the alphabet through twice is about 20 seconds, which is the minimum recommended time. I've heard that the Lord's Prayer, if for those of you who have a religious background, that takes about 20 seconds to do. You can sing Happy Birthday a couple times through. So whatever works for you to kind of get you through it, to make sure that you spend the appropriate amount of time to get your hands clean.
So I wanted to start off with a fun little activity video to show you guys why it's important to talk about thorough hand washing and kind of why we're doing this.
Another thing Courtney and I wanted to talk about with you guys is how hand washing might look different for someone who has a little bit more limited hand function, which is something we sometimes see with MS. So let's say, for example, somebody's hand normally at rest is just in a fist like this. How can we effectively get this hand washed with it like this? From an OT perspective, one of the things that we would say is use passive range of motion, which is just either yourself or a caregiver using your other hand. You can use a chair arm, anything that has an edge to it, to try to open up your hand here. The key here is going to be to use slow and constant pressure. We don't want to rapidly pull or anything like that, because our muscles have kind of sensors built in there. I know it seems funny to say that, but for lack of a better term, that is kind of what they are. That if a muscle feels a quick stretch, it actually tightens back up. But if we do slow pressure, then we don't activate those sensors in our muscles. So we want that muscle to relax. So we're going to either use a handle of a broom or a back of a chair, anything that you can do to just provide slow, constant pressure to release the muscle in that hand a little bit. And it might be that you need to have that resting against something once you do get it open, because there's probably still going to be pressure there. But once we get that hand open, then we can use the other hand to wash it, even if you have to get it soaked up before you try to move it. But again, passive range of motion to try to help get that hand open, or if you need to do it with the assistance of a caregiver, you can. All right, so for people that have more limited hand function, now that we have this hand wash and it's soaking wet, how are we supposed to get it dry? And the danger of not getting it all the way dry is that wet skin will lead to skin breakdown over time. We want to protect the integrity of the skin on our hands, so how can we get this hand dry? There's a couple different ways. Probably the easiest and most effective way would be to wedge a towel up underneath your fingers like that. That gives us the most surface area contact with the towel, and then it's probably just going to take extra time of getting, I don't know how well you can see that, but just getting the towel in between those fingers to try to get all of that surface area for the hand clean. Take some extra time and make sure those wet hands get all the way dry.
All right, so the last thing we wanted to talk about was using hand sanitizer. Although the best method to washing your hands is using soap and water, hand sanitizer is for those times when you don't have that available. So it is a good method, but it's not the best. So the first thing you want to keep in mind when using hand sanitizer is that you want a product that is at least 60% alcohol, and you can find that on the back of any hand sanitizer bottle. Looks like mine is 70%, so that meets the recommendations. And then also you want to keep in mind that hand sanitizers don't get rid of all types of germs. So that list of things that I said in the beginning of the video, make sure you're actually washing your hands for those activities. And then they also might not be as effective when your hands are like visibly dirty or visibly greasy, because they kind of just get that top layer. And then they also don't remove harsh chemicals or pesticides, things like that, like hand washing would. So with actually using the hand sanitizer, it's pretty much the same procedure as you would use when washing your hands. The most important thing that people mess up on though is the amount. When you're using hand sanitizer, you need enough that all of your hand is going to be coated in wet. It might feel like they're dripping, but you need to get everything wet. So I did 2 pumps and I still feel like that's not enough. 3 pumps is probably the best. You want them pretty soaked. So again, you're gonna do that same motion, rub it in the palms, between your fingers, getting the fingers together, getting the tops of the fingers and the fingernails, back of the hands, thumbs, fingernails. And again, you want to do this for about 20 seconds and rub it in until it's dry. You don't want to then dry it off. You want to rub them until they're actually dry. And it's going to take longer than you think because you need to put more on to make it effective. Okay, and that's how to properly use hand sanitizer. All right, and one last time to recap. Hey Google, help me wash my hands. And thanks to one of our members who told us that Google Assistant and Alexa will play a song to help you remind how long you should be washing your hands for.